If this is your first time seeing EVO, The Search for Eden, well, that's because it's one of the rarest Super Nintendo games that hasn't gotten a physical release up until this point, which is unfortunate since the premise is rather unique as you're going from a fish to a land creature that grows legs, and yeah, you get the point here. Okay, story time. I was at one of my friends' houses who's had EVO since it was new, and I asked him about it recently. He mentioned how he got his copy by trading in a copy of Aero the Acrobat. Gosh, if only I could go back in time and do that type of trade over and over and over again. You have to fight off enemies and eat their meat in order to gain experience points to build up your current being. It's an extremely ambitious title to come up with a game built around the premise of evolution, especially back in the 90s on the Super Nintendo. The story of the game will put you into the 5 areas of history that you have to explore and evolve in. After finishing off the ocean, you'll become an amphibian fighting off insects. Then you'll enter the dinosaur age where you have to fight off more revolutionary mammals trying to claim the world. The graphics are really where EVO shines. Each of the enemies look different and the backgrounds offer some nice detail and special effects. It's not the best looking game on the Super Nintendo, but works well for what it is. One thing you'll notice is that the game is extremely grind heavy. You'll go through a group of enemies in a stage and make it up until a certain point where you're just getting killed over and over again. This is usually a sign that your evolution is too weak, and you'll have to grind for experience points in order to upgrade your current form. You could easily spend a half an hour just grinding away at farming enemies to max out your current form. There is a saving feature built in. It was just very tricky to find out how at first. I kept saving my game when being inside one of the levels, at a safe spot away from some of the enemies. Apparently this only saves your character data and not your progress. You have to be in the world map while pressing the select button in order to actually save your game. Each of the bosses are more than challenging, and that might be understating it significantly. This was a common thing being said from some of the other reviewers on YouTube. Yes, they are significantly overpowered, but if you're able to upgrade basically anything during the boss battle, you'll magically get full health again. You can easily swap body forms if you've grinded enough and you're quick with the select button. The one real downfall is that you don't have a period of iframes where an enemy could just hit you over and over again in a loop if you're not careful. This can often lead to an extremely frustrating cheap death, and you'll end up losing half your experience points if you die that you just spent an hour trying to get. The soundtrack in EVO is a bit inconsistent. Sometimes you'll get an absolutely fitting track, other times you'll be downright annoyed by the music, especially in a grind-heavy area. But still, EVO has to be one of the most unique and original experiences on the Super Nintendo. It's not every day you hear about games that follow the evolution path, let alone one on a 16-bit console. It takes a very specific audience to like what you see here, and since there's no other real way to play EVO other than on the Super Nintendo, you'll have to resort to playing it any way possible. I'm the Retro Kingpin, thanks for watching.